Previously on Roster.
Just going to pop both these cards out because I need to remove that insulation basically that's bound to catch fire when I start welding in them headlight bowls. Right, that's out of the way, but I've still got a bit of foam in there that I'm a bit loath to take out at the moment. Don't want to start getting into all that. I'll have to do a bit of research though, because there's some parts that I need to get to know better. So I've got an aerial that's not doing aerial things. Would you ever have thought that getting a nut off of an aerial would cause so much ag? It's actually just sheared right off of my hand, and I've got to take it off because there's some rust around the actual mounts there. A little bit of attention required. So I'm glad I moved all that insulation out of the way. I would have definitely caught that on fire and probably damaged a lot more as well, including these pipes. See how far I've taken back the affected area where the clean metal starts. The whole pitted area there, that's on both aerial holes. They're both solid in their surrounds, it's just basically pitting, so I'll give that a little bit of treatment, fill and paint. I'm going to go ahead and make some small repair pieces for this. See how I go with that, but I'm just going to use these old offcuts from the wing repair on the Beetle. It's got a little bit of contour in there already. So that's not a bad fit. That's the first piece made, and it was actually made easier where I was able to come up from underneath and measure the area that was required. I'm probably going to do a little bit of repair on this lip, and like I have done previously, I'll use a piece of copper and just weld on that lip a little bit, just to make it a little bit better for the securing of the actual headlamp on it. This little piece took quite a little bit of time to make. This the bottom of the headlight bowl there. Now what I was able to do is eventually make it in the stretcher, but I used my little contour tool to find out the shape of the bowl itself. So I've got that new accelerator pedal in, and I managed to retain the existing brackets. I've only used a new spring pedal and the new pin that passes through the whole lot. The old pedal itself was very badly worn there. I'm making some initial adjustments on the accelerator cable itself, and I've just identified a little problem that I'm going to have to rectify underneath. I'll show you that now. So with the initial setup of the accelerator cable, I found that I haven't got as much adjustment as I would like in this assembly here. So basically when I'm depressing the accelerator pedal down, this nut is fouling on that beam there. So I'm just going to make a little modification just to take a little bit more out of the beam, just so as that nut clears it. So after modifying that small bit at the end there for more clearance, I actually noticed that I still wasn't getting the return of the pedal, and in fact this lobe was facing in the wrong position. It was actually pointing downwards, where I've now rectified that. Haven't got the accelerator cable linked up to the carb yet, but I'm now getting the return of the accelerator pedal on its own. Just touched up the paint now underneath that gear shift plate, and also where I took them front kick panels off. Now getting these 8mm nuts back on this gear shift is proving really difficult. I've spent a lot of time on it already. I just don't know how I undone them in the first place. Finally done. So fiddly, but I'll just wait for that paint to dry and I'll get it installed. Might seem a bit weird, but I don't necessarily want to treat and paint this pedal assembly or the rest of the components in there. So I think I'm just going to obviously treat it to a new rubber, stick it back in. Just paying my attention to something else for a little while I think about other things, and I thought I'd start on these rear heater outlets that sit in the cargo floor area. Now both are quite damaged. I mean, this one here, it hasn't got a bar which allows you to select on or off. Now it's attached to a wire system that passes through and into, show me this one, into this tube here where it activates the flap. Now the only way I can see of getting access to undo the wire from that flap mechanism inside is to get access via this tube. So I've just pulled the pin up, little pin there, with the intention of knocking this tube section off and hopefully being to access that inside. As you can see, I think that's worked out quite well. So I've now gained access to the wire where the pin is passing through this flap area, or the arm for the flap area. Now it's going to be a case of probably drilling that small pin out so I can unhook the wire and then pass it all the way back through, with the intention of welding a new arm on that latch style pin. That's going to give me a good opportunity to be able to clean this area up also, and inside there. So I couldn't really film too much of that, but I needed more arms and a Kraken. But I've managed to do a little bit of drilling, and I've just been able to use my tool to get that very small pin punched out ever so slightly. That's the small pin out. I should be able to keep that and use it for when it goes back in. So this is the second one, and it's coming apart quite nicely. Just got to bend these tabs out of the way to release the steel wire. And I think the plan is to basically drill the hole out of that rod and replace a new piece of rod in there. But I'm going to leave it quite lengthy because I'm not too sure how far or long it's got to be to pass through the wooden panelling that's going to be at the base of the rear seat. So that's one drilled out with the new 5mm bar. Still got to weld that in. Now if you look at the original one, it's very bent up, and it's got that threaded end on it. So I think I'll measure this original one and copy the length of that, and then I can always thread it or maybe bend it at a later date. Just thinking, actually, I was just about to cut that off, and I think I'm going to try and straighten it out and then maybe try and re-tap it. It's a little bit chewed up, but it might work. There we go, so that's been bent in the vise, and something's telling me that that is the correct shape of what it's meant to be. I remember seeing a picture somewhere of it, so I'll go with that for now. I'll just try and re-tap that thread, see if it's got anything decent left on it. Right, so thread's okay. Add that nut on there, works fine. So I'm going to replicate that small piece of bar now into the new stock. You always cut out a little bit more than you intended to, but that's going to give me a good opportunity to get some nice bends and a complete piece in both of these bits. I've also decided that I'm going to buy a replacement panel for the actual cover plate, and I'm going to use the old one, which is in quite a bad way. I mean, that's going to be time consuming just to fix it. The old one I'm going to use to do some patch repairs up on that next portion there. That's one piece done, just a little bit more fettling to do. And you're going to see me go back and forth from all different parts of the bus, because the idea is that I want to get all the little bits made up and then have one big welding session at the end of it all. So I did say I was going to wait and do a whole bunch of welding all at once, but I just couldn't help myself. So that's all done, that's welded in, and I've made a start on welding all those parts up within the headlight bowls. So next thing's going to be just tidying them up, making them look pretty. But until then, see you on the next one.